at storytelling for authenticity in an age of mistrust. In a time when audiences are more discerning than ever, authentic stories have become essential to building real connection. Today, we'll explore how honest, intentional storytelling can cut through noise and rebuild trust. This conversation will be moderated by Shibani Sethi, founder of Chapters by Shibani, a platform built on the ethos of meaningful conversations, compelling chapters, creativity, and culture. And to lead us into this conversation, we have our speaker, Amin Haq, founder of the Storywalas. Please give them a huge round of applause as we welcome them on stage.
Of people here who are not yet sitting. So if you sit, I will be able to do this better because I know Amin has fans and he has many, many fans. So you don't want to miss this and I don't want you to. So thank you very much. And if you don't take these properly, I'm telling you. Sorry. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there was a short introduction for Amin. But I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce him because this is what I hear of, what I understood of him. When facts fall flat and data gets drowned, one man shows us how stories still cut through the noise. That's Amin Haq for you. Founder of Storywalas and a born storyteller, he helps people communicate with clarity, warmth, and impact. A theater actor, creative evangelist, and mentor to thousands, Amin transforms ideas into emotions and presenters into powerful narrators. And I must tell you, I'm not just speaking English, you will see it when you hear it. So if you sit, you can hear it better. He's the one who reminds us that storytelling isn't decoration. It's authentic, it's true, it's from the heart, and it's differentiation. So it's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, when for me, what motivates me is a huge round of applause for somebody that we've been wanting to hear, we've been wanting to see, I've been wanting to see, and it's my pleasure to be sitting next to Amin, to be talking to him. Such a powerful gentleman. When I say powerful not just in image, but in thought, in heart, and in stories. So Amin, it's a pleasure to have you here, and it's an absolute honor to be in conversation with you today.
Likewise, Shivani, you're very kind, you're very generous. A lot of good things you have said. I'm not sure if I live up to all of them. But it's a good pressure to have. Thank you.
Well, if you're feeling pressure, then I'm delighted because a storywala never feels the pressure because you're all heart. And, I've listened to so many stories of yours as I was going through videos to ensure that I don't repeat a lot of the questions which you've already spoken. But I just believe that a lot of the audience may not know where you come from if they don't know, which I'll be surprised about because there's nobody who doesn't know Amin Haq. But coming back to you, what made you tell your story, Amin? And I'm not talking about you becoming a storyteller. It's just about you telling your story.
Yeah, I think when we are kids, there are no masks. We don't have any mask. We are who we are. And we express ourselves freely as children. When we don't like something, we don't have any problem calling that out and saying, I don't like this. When we want something, we have no hesitation in saying, I want this. When we feel bad, we show that we feel bad by crying, without holding back emotions. In the process of growing up, we start putting on masks. And there are many masks that we put on. So when we don't get that promotion that we so desperately wanted, imagine if a child was denied a promotion, how would a child respond? The child would show displeasure, would show sadness. And what a child also does is, child gets over that quickly. Have you seen kids fight with each other? And after 10 minutes, they are playing with each other as well. So they have this ability to live in the moment. But, coming back to your question as to when did you decide to tell your story? It's not at one point of time, but at different points of time, what you do is As you grow up and you grow within, you try to let the mask fall off. And the process of letting the masks fall off is a lifelong process because we all wear multiple masks. So, to get comfortable with oneself and to get comfortable expressing what one is feeling at the moment and not being defined by that feeling, but just expressing that. It takes, it's a lifelong journey. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to get better at it.
I just want to request somebody to keep time because I'm telling you, I'm warming up to this conversation. He's a storyteller. What I do and what I run is chapters by Shabani, the ethos of which is storytelling. It's conversations and chapters and culture and creativity, and he's all of it. So is somebody keeping time? Because I may just get blown away, which I already am, and I may get carried away as I am already.
I'll keep
yes,
time.
No, we have Sarika there. Sarika will do that. Don't worry about it. No, I was just kidding. I mean, I love the innocence and the authenticity with which you say this, and to which I have my next question. You're right. As children, we don't wear masks. We're just so innocent. We just say what comes to us as it is. I don't know what happens to us as we grow up. I think it's the conditioning, it's the environment, it's the culture, it's the people, and it's just very sadly true, but it happens to all of us. So I want to know if there is what gives a story its truth, the teller's intent or the listener's trust.
The intent brings the trust. Trust is not a commodity that the listener is going to put out there to start with. Actually, every listener starts a little bit with curiosity, a little bit with openness, and a little bit skepticism also, because we all have a little bit of inherent skepticism around anything that's too polished, too refined, too spick and span. Even if you walk into a house that looks very nice, you feel like, "Arey, yahan koi rehta nahi hai kya?" Because a lived house looks different. A lived kitchen looks like somebody cooks here. And if it's too neat, then there is some skepticism that comes in. I think the challenge is to demonstrate your intent. Because once people see that intent, then trust comes. It's one of the most expensive things in the world. It's not rare earth, it's not data, it's not oil, it's trust, which is the most precious commodity in the world, because once you win that, it's almost like license to kill someone. Yeah. Of course, you don't do that because you won trust. It's like somebody has given you the most precious part of them. It comes with a lot of responsibility, but it starts with your intent. Are you earning that trust? Are you working towards building that trust? Uh, how are you overcoming skepticism which is inherent in people's mind? How are you cutting through that clutter? And you have to work hard for that. It doesn't come easy, and it doesn't come with, "Oh, you don't trust me, I don't want to work with you." Uh, if somebody doesn't trust you, it's not their fault. It's their years of conditioning, perhaps. So how do I give them benefit of doubt? How do I operate from generosity and say, let me still do my best to make my intent visible to others so that they can trust me. Yeah.
That's a lot of honesty in the way you've communicated this, and I'm just going to take it back before I ask you the next question. You were educated out of Micah in Ahmedabad. You worked with brands like O&M. You've been creative all your life, and you are also branded the Story Monk, which I've never heard of anybody being called or tagged as. So Story Monk is a very, very big title that you carry on your shoulder, which basically means that you're authentic to the core. You've obviously done something absolutely right. You run a firm called Storywalas. So was there a story that cost you, the authenticity to get to where you are today?
Let me answer this in two parts. First, the Story Monk. It sounds interesting. It sounds very cool. But in essence, who's a monk? A monk is a lifelong student. Is somebody who's on the path, who's not reached there yet.
Authentic, so honest student.
Yeah. So student. And a monk is also a teacher, right? So we learn from monks. So, somebody said this: if you want to learn something, try teaching it. You'll end up learning it faster. So, in that sense, a monk is both a student and a teacher, but the student comes first. So, monk is certainly not to be put on a pedestal. He's somebody who's just trying to learn. And we can all try to be a little bit monk-like in our everyday quest for improvement, self-improvement, learning, and growth. Was there a moment, I wish I had a story to tell, which was like of a epiphany, or a moment where something happened at 3 a.m. and I said, wow, this is from now onwards, my life is going to change. I don't have that. I quit Ogilvy because I didn't agree with something that was happening. It goes back to authenticity in some way. I didn't agree with some of the things. I had a disagreement, nothing major. But then you have to be true to yourself. So I said, all right, I'm not in alignment with a decision that we are taking. And since I'm not in alignment, I'm going to get off this boat. And then I was wondering what to do next. But given the fact that I'd worked with narratives all along, I'd been doing theater, I'd been writing poetry, and all advertising is storytelling at some level, I thought, hey, maybe here's something that I can give a shot to. I saw a storyteller. Her name is Geeta Ramanujam. She works with children, and she tells stories to children, and she trains teachers how to use stories in education. So she does a lot of work with schools. And I saw her work. I remember asking Geeta, all of this is fine, but what do you really do? She said, this is what I do. I said, no, this must be a hobby, but what do you do for a living? I'm sure you must be doing something for a living. She said, no, I do this for a living. And that gave me confidence. I said, if, Geeta can do this well, I can also do this. And that's how I started. And thankfully, there was some work to do. People wanted to learn how to leverage the power of stories at work. There was curiosity around that. I started teaching it. Some of it started sticking, and more work came in. And as more and more work came in, I started learning in the process. Every tough question teaches you something. Every tough assignment teaches you something. So I've learned this along the way as to what storytelling is. Earlier, in advertising, I used to think storytelling is about seduction, is about, well, it's all of that, but there's nothing more seductive than authenticity. There's nothing more seductive than authenticity, the rawness of beauty. Yeah.
To which I will have my next question, but I must tell you that storytelling is an art. I know you may not believe that, or I know I've heard you say that everybody has a story and everybody can tell a story. But the truth is, everybody does have a story, but maybe everybody cannot tell a story the way you do. And I think the authenticity that you carry in all, I was watching some of your videos just to feel the story, not as much as to hear them. And the beauty about you and the way you speak and the way you narrate it is that it's seamless throughout. It's consistent throughout. And that is why you feel it more than you hear it. And I therefore want to know, in terms of authenticity, why do you think authentic stories are more important today, especially today, in days today, than they were in the past?
Well, there's this myth that story is all about telling. The word is storytelling, right? So if you take the second part, telling, a lot of people think story is about telling. So it's about articulation, it's about vocabulary. I must learn how to present well. There's also this adjacent phrase called executive presence. I struggled with it. Like, what is executive? Can you tell me what is non-executive presence? What is non-executive presence?
What is executive presence anyway?
Executive presence क्या होता है? There's only one thing called presence. Either you are present or you're not present. Usme executive, why have we attached the word executive to it? But coming back to that question, story is not about telling, it's about living. What I mean by that is, and since we are talking about storytelling, let me tell you a story. When Ratan Tata was younger and he was a group CEO at one of the, he was not the group CEO, he was actually a CEO in one of the group companies. So a younger guy. And he was he had to go for a meeting. So they were going for a meeting from Bombay to Nashik, long drive. And he was not alone in the car. He had some of his colleagues with him in the car, and they were all going from Bombay to Nashik. And on the highway, the car breaks down, and everybody takes a stretch break. They are walking around. The smokers are taking a smoke break, and soon they figure Mr. Ratan Tata is nowhere to be seen. So they go looking for him, and they find him. He's sitting on the road, sleeves rolled up, helping the driver fix the car. Now you can write with golden letters at the reception of the company that we treat people equally, we treat people with dignity. Story is not what you say, it's what you do, it's what you live, it's what you embody in your actions. And that's what storytelling is. It's not something to say. So that's something worth picking up, that, are you living your story? Are you telling the story? Are you living the story? Stories are to be lived. They have to be embodied in actions. Yeah. So that's key. Yeah.
And I'm so glad you brought the story up, because I did hear this as well. And the authenticity of this was the man. And I think what he did was what he believed, and that's how he lived. He was a book by himself. Nobody had to really write the book by himself, but for him. I think they just documented it because I think there's stories that everybody must hear. And you're just actually like that. And what I want to know then, you spoke about Ratan Tata, and there's another story which I will request you at some point in time to mention. Is there a thing about a storyteller that one must never compromise on if they want to be trusted today? Because there are tons of storytellers in the business, and it's become a business. Like you rightly said, somebody asked you, you said you asked the lady, Geeta, if that was what she did, because you didn't believe that storytelling was business. Today, it's unfortunately more performance-driven, more business-driven. So please tell me, what is it that a storyteller must do to be trusted today?
Yeah, see, everybody is in the story business. The moment you are in business, you are in the story business. If you are interviewing at an organization, you are selling yourself. You're selling your skills. If you're interviewing somebody, you are selling a job at that organization. So we are all in the sales business. We are all in the story business. If you are raising funds, all fundraising is storytelling. If you're selling a product, all go-to-market is storytelling. So once you're in business, you are in the story business. So that part is true, that, everybody's in the story business. How does one make it authentic? Here's a definition of storytelling that I really love and offer to people, and not as a definition, but something that, storytelling is truth well told. The well told part is about telling, but the first is truth. That if it's not truthful, then there's something wrong there. Now on WhatsApp, there's a lot of well told. What is missing is the truth part. And unfortunately for a lot of people, there's a lot of truth in their story. What is also missing is a well told. And let me explain this. A lot of people do good work, and their work is up there. It's really good. When they stand up to talk about their story, the story falls short. So you see, truth is there, but well told is missing. And that's an injustice to their own work. They are not able to tell it well. So both have to come together and have to be in balance with each other. Truth and well told, then it becomes a good story. Secondly, the best story about your work cannot be told by you. If you say, I'm a good singer, that's an average story. If 20 people say Shibani is a good singer, now that's a good story. If you say, I'm a good cook, that's an average story. If 20 people say, no, she's an amazing cook, that's a better story. So the second question is, how can we get others to talk about our story? How can we infect them with enthusiasm to talk about our story? Can we create brand ambassadors out of our bosses, out of our customers, out of our mentors, out of our colleagues, out of our peers? Because they can tell the best story about our work. Lastly, story is not about telling, it's about listening. When you listen, then you become a good storyteller. Then you'll know which story to tell. So if you don't even listen, then how do we know which story? People forget these fundamentals and straight away want to go to the telling part. But yeah, truth and truth well told, articulation is important. Second, the best story about your work can be told by others. So how do I infect others with enthusiasm for my story? And third, listening. After that, tell.
I told somebody to keep time only because now I'm getting completely, totally immersed. So please, I'm already warning you. This is my second warning to you, but I have to tell you this. I mean, the way you narrate even this part of it is such a true storyteller coming alive. And you're very, very right about listening, but I think feeling a story is even more beneficial. And that is when people really, really start. When you feel a story, you start talking about it. And I know that even before I started this talk with you, I was talking about you. And when I walk out of this place, I am going to continue to. There's some amazing work that you do. You also have actually ventured into, or you created a niche in the corporate space. You started taking taking your storytelling ethics or your storytelling art into CXOs and people at that level. Why did you target, or why did you look at that space instead of maybe the youngsters or the Gen Zs of today?
We didn't look at that actually. I started Storywalas with a dream that we'll be telling stories to children, and hopefully, we'll work with school teachers and help school teachers use stories. Kids should not learn through rote learning, but if teacher can become a storyteller, they can make any subject interesting. If you were to think about your own childhood, think about your favorite subjects when you were growing up. When you think about your favorite subjects, it's likely you will also remember your favorite teacher. And if you think about the subjects you didn't like, it's likely you will also remember a teacher you didn't like. So my dream was to work with teachers and help them become better storytellers. But corporate started reaching out to us. Our first client was GE, and somebody from GE reached out and said, "Hey, Amin, can you teach our leadership storytelling so that they can connect better with employees?" And soon, so we gravitated because we were pulled into this. And once I started doing it, I thoroughly enjoyed it because, you know, uh, to work with senior leaders and help them become good storytellers. And the problem is, a lot of senior leaders, they learn engineering, they learn accountancy, they learn how to write code. But at some point of time, as you become senior, your work in front of the laptop reduces and your work in front of people increases. And nothing has prepared us for that. And when we are junior, say in any department, if you're in finance function, we talk mostly to finance people. When you become senior, you're talking to non-finance people. So how can you make your subject interesting and relevant and simple enough for more people to understand? Nobody's taught us that. So when people reached out, forget storytelling, which is a big word, even these basics were not in place. And we started enjoying that and said, hey, you're helping build communication, you're helping build trust, and in the process, getting paid for it and learning it. Uh, it's like a dream thing. So yeah, it's been a wonderful ride. And but when I look back, some of the most challenging assignments have taught us the most. Working with sports coaches at Olympic Gold Quest, who work with athletes and say, how do I not just build the physical ability of the athletes, but the mental ability, and what's the role that stories can play there? We've been working with them for 7 years now. It's one of my favorite assignments. Working with CEOs and saying, oh, you've just taken charge. The organization is going through massive change management. There is anxiety amongst people. How do you navigate this? What's the story you're going to build, and how do you keep that authentic? Yet you may not know all the answers, and the truth is you don't know the answers, but you still want to inspire belief that we'll get to a good place, and I'm going to give it my best shot. To help CEOs communicate that story, it's very satisfying work. Yeah, so it's been a fun ride. Working in inclusion and diversity and using stories in that space and say, hey, how do you use the power of narrative to build not sympathy but empathy? And how do you create allies out of people who've never thought about these topics earlier? What's the role that narrative can play there, and how do you create belief from that? Has been yeah. So it's been a fun ride. Yeah.
Very interesting, because I think whichever organization that you're in, there is always a sales and a marketing team. There are teams within teams, there is service and all of that, and everybody has to sell their story to get their business.
Yep.
So I think you've just done it very well for them, and you've taught them the nuances of storytelling, and in a way that is all heart and not so much a performance as one would put it. So I want to know, what is the difference between a story that moves people than a story that transforms them?
Uh, well, if you tell a true story and if it has a little bit of surplus, then I'll give you an example. Let me tell you a story. Since you were talking about listening, I'll tell you a story. Listening is the most underrated sort of, and everybody talks about listening, but there's a story that comes to my mind. There's this NGO that we do some work with. It's in Bangladesh, and there's this senior lady. She was going and visiting people in camps. These are refugee camps, uh, and she was checking on the welfare of people. She went into a tent and she saw a young 9-year-old girl sitting there. The lady, senior lady, asked the child, "Beta, what would you like to be when you grow up?" There's a young kid sitting there. The senior lady asked that question, "Beta, what would you like to be when you grow up?" Imagine there's this kid here. She's a Rohingya refugee who's crossed over from Myanmar. She's lost her school, kids, friends, parents, and But the question is not about have you had food or not. It's not a transactional question. It's a question that says, do you still have hope alive? So she asked the child, "What would you like to be when you grow up?" The child pointed to a TV that was kept somewhere and she said, "Auntie, when I grow up, I want to be a television." Some of us would look at that child and say, "Hey, TV?" Now, what do you do if somebody says "hey" to you? You feel judged. And when we feel judged, we shut up. So good listening is non-judgmental listening. Have you ever felt judged?
Always.
Yeah?
But now I don't care. That's the difference.
Yeah, so good. So she didn't judge the child. She respected that answer and followed up with more curiosity. And she said, "Why would you like to be a television?" And the child said, "Auntie, when the television speaks, everyone listens to the television. Can you listen to the unspoken?" What is the child really saying? The child is saying, "Nobody's listening to me. I want to be heard." So when we can listen to the unspoken like this, then we become a good storyteller. Yeah. Yeah.
How beautifully told is that? And I'm going to surprise the audience a little bit. I have some more questions for Amin,
cool.
but I can't be so academic in my approach because here I want to throw some questions out to you, or if you want to ask him something before I ask my next question. Yeah, so I need somebody to give her a mic, please. Amin, your stories are absolutely beautiful. Even now, when I was listening to you and the way you narrate them, because there is no way that somebody wouldn't listen, but then that's an art. It's about how you tell them, right? So yes, please go ahead.
Hi, Amin. I'm Pallavi. I am a management consultant. I tell stories for a living all the time. One feedback that I get from the younger hires in our company is that there is truth, well told, well designed stories, but they often give feedback that stories which are lived, when somebody who's had few decades under their belt, the same story when it comes from them versus somebody who's new, it doesn't land the same way. And the first few years in the consulting ladder is very difficult because they have not lived that experience. They are trying to narrate somebody else's experience. What's your suggestion for people who are starting new and storytelling is a big part of their work?
It's a myth that you need to climb the Mountain Everest 7 times in order to become a storyteller. It's a myth that you need to have broken a leg 7 times or gone through roller coaster of life. Only then you earn the badge to tell a story. Actually, living a normal life is, what's normal life? You fall in love, you get into a job, you deal with challenges every day. Normal life is challenges, no? Passing an exam is stressful for someone, studying math is stressful for someone, history is stressful for some. So anybody who's 15 years old has enough lived experience to tell a story. I've seen 20-year-olds ask amazing questions and bring amazing perspectives into conversation, provided the older lot is willing to listen to them. But they have stories. They have stories to tell. Now, how do we create space for those stories? I'll give an example. This creating space. Now, we talk a lot about inclusion. How does one do inclusion? Suppose there's a brainstorm happening, okay, and there are 7 people in that brainstorm, and I'm the senior guy, or I'm the product manager. I have a problem, so I set up the problem and I say, "Ye problem hai. I want people from different departments, and I want to pick on the brains to solve this problem." So I call them all into the brainstorm, and I define the problem. Shibani is the senior most person, and let's assume that Shibani is not Shibani; she is Rajat Singh, a gentleman, right? So gender plays an important role. So Rajat here, very senior guy. As soon as I explain the problem, Rajat bangs the table with excitement, yeah, and enthusiasm, and says, "I know exactly what we should be doing. This is what I propose." Now there's Shibani here, a young lady who's just joined the company. She has an idea that's radically opposite to Rajat's. Will she feel comfortable sharing it? She won't feel comfortable sharing it because a senior guy who's tenured and man has spoken up with such authority. So what should we do? How do we create a listening culture? Maybe when I do the brainstorm, I should invite ideas in reverse order. Reverse order. Then I am giving space for everyone and creating space for everyone to be heard, for every story to be heard, for every perspective to be shared. So, people with 15 years, 20 years have enough lived experience. They should not hesitate, they should speak up, and others should create space for that. Otherwise, we are talking inclusion, we are not doing inclusion.
Excellent insight. Thank you so
Beautifully
much.
mentioned is that, and beautiful. Yes, please go ahead.
It's a beautiful
I'm,
question.
I'm
Thank you.
opening it to you because I want you to ask the storyteller questions. He's animated when you are asking those questions.
Thank you so much for your time today. My question is, in this age of mistrust, our attention span is also reducing. So I might not have the luxury of time to establish my authenticity. So how do I construct my story in such a way that it reaches the people with a lower attention span? Yeah.
What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Aparna.
Aparna, there are 2 parts to the answer. It's a myth that attention spans are low. Let me establish it quickly. How many people are sitting here in the audience have seen Family Man Part 1, Part 2, Part 3? How many of you have seen Breaking Bad? How many of you have seen Game of Thrones? Okay, brother, how many seasons in Game of Thrones? Oh, okay, Panchayat. Yeah, so see, people have a lot of time. They are sacrificing sleep. They're sacrificing sleep, health, time with partners and family, and they are watching. So attention span is not low. When the story is good, you are paying your attention. So stories are not long or short, they are good or bad. When the story is good, people will pay attention. That's first part of the answer. Having said that, we should tell a good story and then keep it short. Now, if you want to keep it short, the most important thing to work upon is the beginning of the story, because well begun is half done. Yeah? Do you read blogs? Well, if the blog's title is not interesting, you won't read the blog. So the title is the beginning. If the beginning doesn't draw you in, you won't read it. Have you been to conferences like this? Right? A speaker comes and speaks, and you're making notes at the back. Then another speaker comes, then the third, fourth speaker. By the time the 5th speaker comes, your body wants coffee. The 5th speaker has come here. If it doesn't start or she doesn't start off well, you'll go out and have coffee. They could be saying amazing things after 20 minutes, but you're not there. So, partial answer, stories are not long or short, they're good or bad. One of the ways to make them good is to start with, the arrow has an arrow head. That's the sharpest part of the arrow. That's the beginning of the story. So think about the beginning really well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're out of time, and Sarika's already warning me, but I have one quick question if you promise to answer in 5 seconds.
Yeah, okay.
What role does silence play in building trust in a story?
It helps you think of the answer that you want to. So, pause. Yeah.
Because silence is very, very important, as important in a story as it is to tell a story. So, which is why I wanted to know from you. So, I have like 10 questions and I was sitting and writing them down. But that lady there is giving me daggers. And ladies and gentlemen, Amin is available. Amin from Storywalas. Amin Haq, I was to say. Amin Haq from Storywalas. He's called the story monk for a reason. And please trust me when I say that. Listen into his conversations on his Instagram and his YouTube. He's wonderful, and you can meet him and of course have the conversation. My name is Shibani. I run Chapters by Shibani, a space of many stories. It's called Conversations, Chapters, Culture and Creativity. Please be in touch because there will be stories that I'm learning from, and I would love to hear too and have conversations such as these. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amin, for your time.
Thank you so
And,
much.
oh my God! And I would have said I won't let him go without a story. He has a beautiful one to say. You want to tell them quickly about a story as you're standing and walking down? What happened to that hotel? See, that's a story for your lunch break. You want to talk to them about that hotel that you went to and this beautiful experience
yeah.
that you had?
No, it's
He's standing
actually,
and talking.
yeah,
This is lunch break.
it's a simple story. You know, I
a
often
beautiful
say
one.
this. It points back to the larger topic that the best story about your work cannot be told by you. It can only be told by someone else. But how do you infect others with enthusiasm for your story? One of the ways to do that is to deliver some surplus, deliver a little bit extra than what people were expecting, because CSAT is about, you know, experience divided by expectation. Yeah. So I had gone to Oberoi. I was staying at Oberoi, and I have this habit of taking my toiletries and spreading them out in front of the sink, my toothbrush, shaving razor, etc. And I'd gone for a meeting. During the day, the housekeeping guy must have come to clean, and they usually take everything and organize it. In the evening, when I come back, there's a letter from the general manager who says, Mr. Huck, we saw that your shaving foam is getting over. Here's one from our side. How many people pay that attention? And how much does it cost? The room costs 20,000 bucks. The shaving foam costs almost nothing. But next time I have a choice, where am I going to stay? I'm going to stay there. Now, who's telling you that story? It's not Trident who's saying we have good service. They have converted a customer into an ambassador. The shaving foam costs nothing, but what's the equivalent of that we can find in our lives? One easy equivalent is, you know, many of us have kids, right? You know, your daughter is going to grow old and soon she'll have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, but natural. And to the fathers sitting here, I say, one day she will receive a bouquet at home. It will come from someone special in her life. What stops you from sending that first bouquet to her? She'll remember you for life that my first boyfriend was my papa. She sent me the first. It costs nothing. It's like that shaving foam. It's like that shaving foam. It costs nothing, but we are not thoughtful about it. So stories are there not to tell, but to create. But we are not creating those stories. We are not creating those special moments.
And ladies and gentlemen, when Amin Haq tells a story, you're not just listening, you're feeling. Please be in touch with him, listen to his stories, and you'll be amazed. Thank you, Amin, for your time. It's such a pleasure to be in conversation with you. Thank you, and thank you for being such a brilliant audience, considering it's lunchtime and your stomach must be growling. But thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We'll request you to stay on stage just for a minute.
Oh, you
Yes,
have
we
a question?
No, we have goodies for you.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I couldn't have let him go without stories. And let me tell you one thing. This story could be told by anybody, but the way he said it and the way he told it was different, which is why I insisted. Sorry, Sarika, but thank you. Yeah, please go. Drop the water. Thank you very much, Amin. Really, such a pleasure to be in conversation.